Okay, welcome to the municipality of South Dundas and its regular council meeting with its team and staff team and guests for Monday, May the 8th. I have a motion that it be resolved that council rise and reconvene into open session at 6:07 p.m. I have a motion by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Have a motion that it be resolved that council direct administration to carry out all actions as prescribed in the closed session minutes. Motion by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, confirmation of agenda under 3A. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I have a motion that it be resolved that Council of Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as approved. Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Thank you very much. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Anybody wishing to disclose tonight? Seeing none, we'll move to number 5, adoption of minutes. I have a motion be resolved that the minutes of the following meeting, including closed session minutes, be adopted as circulated. The meeting of April 24th, 2023. Motion by, for that, are there any errors or omissions to those minutes? Seeing none, Councillor Vino, motion, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, we do not have any delegations tonight. After a busy 5 months of delegations, we've had a break from delegations, and I'm sure we have some on our list that will resume at our future meetings. So we'll move to Agenda 7A, PF 2023-09, Morrisburg Arena rates. This is follow up from our last meeting as we had under discussion to bring back as an action request. We have Director of Parks, Recreation and Facilities, Mr. David Jansen. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you is just a report. It sort of outlines a little bit of our discussion from the previous meeting. I know Councillor Vino wasn't here, so hopefully you had a good chance to skim through and maybe watch the discussion from last time. I think I included a little bit of information on some of the questions that were brought up at that time. So if anybody has any questions on the report, or if Councillor Vino has any questions as he wasn't here, I'm happy to answer them.
So at the last meeting, we had a discussion whether or not we would entertain the request we had from a men's senior hockey league to create a senior non-primetime rate at $100. In our previous meetings, we had set Schedule A, where that would be $115 based on, $120, yes, $120, based on all the feedback we received from all the other local arenas based on their non-prime time rates for this type of activity. This group was able to find ice at $50 an hour at North Dundas. So they requested, not for $50, but we requested, would we consider a non-senior hockey rate at $100, lowering our previously passed bylaw to set those rates. In our information package, we did include the emails and the arguments thereof of the said hockey group. And we can open up for further discussion. As Councillor Vino, you kind of missed the first discussion, so if you have questions or comments.
Yeah, just one there. So just my understanding then is, because there definitely is a precedence issue there, but you would be creating a completely different line item for senior non-primetime hockey instead of just granting a reduction in the rate for this group, kind of not arbitrarily, but in general, because that would invite other groups to come in and look for a reduced rate as well. You'd be creating a completely separate line item. Is that the...
that was an option that we, as opposed to just lowering our primetime rate, because if it was a corporation that wanted to rent the ice, yeah. A business in town or a corporation, then we would have that rate at 120. Mm-hmm. But thinking of seniors, they might have a better option
Okay.
to rent the ice, maybe to get more ice rentals
Yep.
in the daytime if we had a.
I like the idea of making sure, just to get away from precedence issues. And I read through all those emails, and there's some compelling points about the work they do in the community around here as well. They keep a lot of their money, all of their money local. And yeah, so as long as the precedence issue is fixed, but it sounds like that's the conversation that was had. So.
We did have compelling arguments on both sides at the last discussion. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
First of all, David, thank you very much for including all of the literature. It did give a little bit of a better picture of what they were saying. I did run into one of the hockey players about a week or so ago, and to be quite frank with you, they were not shy. They said if they don't want to go to Winchester, if we can just lower it to $100, they would stay here, but he said they would go to Winchester. And I don't want to get in a competition between other municipalities or anything, but you're right. I mean, reading the background information, you could tell that they do put the money back in our community. It's daytime stuff, so I'm okay with the $100. On a side note, I do feel that we need to revisit our way of thinking on how we increase the rates from year to year instead of just going, well, we should go $25 or $30. Councillor, I know I don't think you were here when we discussed originally, but at the county level they do a CPI, and it's minimum $5 or something before they jump it up. So I'd like to see us do that policy more, just to get more of a consistent, and then we're not coming back talking about it year after year after year. So with saying that, I would support this, yes. And I supported it the last time as well.
Councillor Smith?
This one's a tough one, because we were talking, Deputy Mayor was talking in the last meeting about, it's precedent setting. If we give a lowered rate to one group, then other groups are going to come forward and start asking for it. But it's a good point what Councillor Vino says about we're creating a whole separate line item, but are we going to end up with seven different line items for 7 different user groups? And I don't know. The one question that I did have for David was, what is the staff implication? This is one of the only user groups that are during the weekdays, during the week. What's the staffing implication? Like, is there staff that just comes in, I believe it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, just for this group in the middle of the day, and then there's no other user groups those days until, say, 4 p.m.?
So yeah, through you, Mayor Broad, to Councillor Smith. We do run any of our programming, we time it on the same day. I would say if we didn't have a user that day, I would aim to try and get the person out of the arena, depending on the arena's needs. Like sometimes you need the ice maintenance day, or the building's it needs the extra cleaning, but if I can pull them out into facilities, or if it's snowing and we need more help there. Hypothetically, if we lost this user group, I would probably move our programming to Mondays and Fridays, which would be typical ice maintenance coming out of the weekend and going into the weekend days. So that way we reduce our staffing burden on the arena. Obviously, we want user groups, but that would be an implication.
I would hope we wouldn't cancel Sticks and Pucks and Seniors Free Skate because we decided not to run a program to move staffing around. That's kind of going in the opposite direction, but I understand why you would.
I hope I wasn't implying that we would cancel those programs. We would move it to the date that the arena is already staffed, is what I was implying.
Okay.
Which currently is the time that these gentlemen are playing hockey, right?
Plus, yeah, so they're in Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
Mondays and Fridays are the biggest arena maintenance days. You have to build up the ice for the weekend, and you're building up the ice for the weekend, and on Monday you're recovering from the weekend a little bit when the Zamboni's on it every hour of the day. So.
Yeah, because the thing, I was just curious if basically if we had staff that was just coming in just for the sole purpose of this one user group from say like 11 till 12:30, whatever it is, and then there was no other user groups that came in until say 5. I was just curious, like how it worked those days.
Vector?
So yeah, through you, Mayor, we have our programming. So basically on Tuesdays and Fridays, it goes senior skating, parents and tots is that day, and this user group.
No, oh, okay.
But that's just, and then generally there's, in the arena season, there is somebody in the arena. I would say we aim for about 4 days a week usually with this current usage. So we adapt to our usage and go from there.
Councilor Ward?
So I have a few comments. First one is, there's a staff cost regardless of if they're there or they're not. There's a facility cost regardless of if they're there or they're not. And my concern is we gave David direction earlier about the 50% recovery model. And now we're not doing that. So he went and he did all that work and now we're not following it. I know to the previous discussion, we have made decisions when there isn't ice in to reduce rates for other individuals, that that main cost is associated with that ice building, is my understanding, and having that system run for the ice. I think too, basing a decision on North Dundas's rates, they could change tomorrow. And then we'd be left with the lowest rate. So I'm not really in the game of trying to compete with other municipalities. Our ice cost is our ice cost, in my opinion. There's some comment in there about insurance, but I'm pretty sure that's standard across all municipalities now. I'd be surprised if that was true. I'd like to leave it as is. I don't want there to be a special rate, but I don't want them to leave either. But at the same time, our costs are our costs. And if we told David to do 50%, and that's the cost, if we want to rediscuss rates, then we can do that. But that's how I feel.
I think the opportunity could be also not that it's not 50% for forever. It could only be for this season, as if we look at rates on an annual or more frequent basis, we could definitely revisit those rates going forward. I would say by losing the user group today, we lose a lot of our increases we've implemented for the season. So our recovery might be closer to the 50%, but on quite a few hours less ice time. In that being said,
Give them $100. We're going to charge them less than the youth rate? I don't know.
now I would say
I have a hard
there is a
time.
difference between non-prime time and prime time ice. So that's things to consider why it would be different.
But the building's still there, right? And the ice is still there no matter what time of the day. I understand for competitive wise to sell the ice at a different price during prime time, but I just have concerns with subsidizing one user group. It's just one team that came, right? One group. And do we have other senior leagues that play? This is the only one?
Well,
In the daytime.
in the daytime. The other ones are technically
Prime
more
time.
men's leagues. I think, some of them are older in age, but
Okay.
this is the only one that I would say is fundamentally all, especially because of the time slide.
It would be extremely disappointing if they left based on the $20 an hour rate
Difference.
increase. They lived in the community, they grew up in the community, they want to support, they indicated how much volunteering they do within our community and how much donations they gave within the community for them to drive. They also recognize how many people live in South Dundas, and for them to drive to Chesterville or Winchester, whichever arena they may be using in North Dundas at the time. Price of gas isn't cheap, so that $20 an hour over the set hours, maybe eating up in the gas they use to travel to the other arenas. So are they really saving any money on a per person cost versus maybe recruiting a few more players to reduce their cost? Lots of things to consider. So, Any other discussion or comments? So at this point, I have a motion, and it's based on Director Jansen's recommendation. So the motion is that council accepts report PF 2023-09 for the fees and charges at the Morrisburg Arena remain unchanged as per bylaw 2023-14 municipal fees and charges. So I have a motion, so I'm going to move that motion. So the motion is to remain unchanged, so we do not change the bylaw. Councillor Ward, seconded by.
You just clarify.
Okay, so the recommendation in David's report, Director Jansen's report, is that we accept his report and the Morrisburg Arena charges and fees at the Morrisburg Arena remained unchanged as per bylaw 2023-14. So we would, as per Schedule A that we passed on 2023-14, it would be $120 per hour for the non-prime time adult use.
So we're voting to keep it at 120.
Correct.
Okay.
And if we defeat that, then we could make another motion to what we would change it to. Questions, Deputy Mayor?
No, sorry, I just want to read the report. There's two options here. We're not just picking the option.
Well, so
So,
we.
sorry, I just did that. I just want to make sure.
Sure.
Maybe I'm reading
So,
it
no,
differently
we,
from you said, Mayor Brown.
The motion we wrote was the recommendation motion.
Okay.
So we can reverse the motion,
Okay,
which would just be, we would accept option 2. I think it's the same.
Okay.
That's why I was really making sure everybody was clear on which option we are moving forward with.
Okay, so it's not to change the
Correct,
rate.
so not to
Gotcha.
change. So Councillor Ward
Okay.
has made the motion not to change the fees. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Smith. Okay, all in favor of the motion? I will record the votes. Councillor Ward is for the motion. Councillor Smith is for the motion. Against the motion? Councillor Vino, Councillor St. Pierre. So we have the first time in our team, we have a tied vote, 2-2. I make the deciding vote. I will agree with Councillor Ward and Smith and pass the motion that we do not change the bylaw. Clerk LeBrun, obviously, the motion is then carried.
Correct.
The motion is carried based on my vote.
Correct.
Okay, so the motion is carried 3-2. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Director Jansen. Action request 7B, personnel policy update, work boot allowance. Director Jansen is here to share with us his information.
So yeah, thank you, Council. So in front of you is just an update to the personnel policy. This is something that's sort of been in the works for about a year. It's been discussed and discussed and discussed, and I know the personnel policy could use some larger reviews, but this is an item that's sort of holding back operations right now. There's a lot of people who don't really know what the work boot allowance is because it's based on the policy, and the policy says 150. Obviously, prices have increased, and if anybody works a full day in a pair of work boots, buying a $150 pair of work boots, either it doesn't last the entire year or they're excessively not comfortable. So staff have worked with the employee advisory committee that was formed last August, I believe, maybe a little later than that, September. They've had a few meetings, so we worked with staff to see what rate would work best for staff and go from there. So this is just to update the personnel policy to move that one number from $150 to $300 to just improve what is accessible to staff based on the recommendation from the staff who wear the work boots every day. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but.
Councilor Vino.
All right, so I have some comments on this one based on one question.
Yeah.
How is it currently administered? Is it cash money or some form of credit that the employee then takes and goes to Marchbrook Warehouse or Canadian Tire and buys their own boots, or is it administered via like a Mr. Safety Shoes boot truck that comes to the municipality?
So through you, Mayor Broad, to Councillor Vino, it's the staff member would go out to Mark's, purchase their own work boots, return to myself
Yeah.
with the receipt, fill out the form, and then we'd reimburse them as an expense.
Okay, so I do, and forgive me if I'm a little bit long-winded on this one, just because we went through this at my fleet, and we came up with what I think is kind of an interesting way of looking at it. The goal is to make staff healthy and happy because they spend their entire day in work boots. It's just like a seat in a transport truck. We make sure our guys have the best seats in a transport truck. But the other side of it that we decided was if we're going to be putting the money out, there should be some benefit to us as an employer. And to us, it's slips, trips, and falls and WSIB rates, trying to keep them low. So what we ended up doing was we went to a model where Mr. Safety Shoes sends us a rep. We come up with a criteria that our work boot credit works for. So when the boot truck shows up, it has to be synthetic boots, not natural rubber, because natural rubber gets a little bit stiff in the wintertime, and the other ones are more grippier. 6-inch tall boots for ankle rollovers and etc. Composite toes. So we set out a criteria, and then we worked with the rep to figure out what price range we need to be in. So what price range works for the most boots. So we ended up at $225 last year. We're going to be $250 probably this year. And so that means we worked with the rep to say, okay, there's 10 boots that you can buy for $250. Now, if the employee comes on the truck and decides that they want the $300 pair of boots, they can do that, but they pay the $50 difference. All that to say is the employer then has control over getting a little bit of benefit themselves. Not because if the employee just has $100 or $150, they can go out and buy whatever boot they want, and whether it's safe and healthy or not, it's just whatever they got from wherever they wanted to go. Just gives the employer a little bit of control over it. So I guess, and the other thing we do is we do it in the fall, so that every fall, so that they have the best footwear on possible through the winter season. So anyways, I just wanted to pass that across to everybody, just to have a little different idea of how to administer a boot program. That's just how we do it at our yard. So interested to see what you guys think.
Yeah, no, thank you, Councillor Vino. Yes, for sure. Councillor Smith?
The one question, I was trying to find it here again, but I read through this whole personnel policy, and did I read here somewhere that the recreation department, the transportation department got 100% of their boots reimbursed the cost no matter what, and the recreation was at the 150? Did I read that right, or is it the same across the board for all employees?
Yeah.
It's the same, okay, I must have read something wrong then. The price of a good pair of work boots now, you couldn't find a good pair of work boots now probably for $200. But at the same time, you could spend $400 on a pair of good work boots right now if you wanted to. And I mean, like the place where I work my full-time job, my work boot allowance is $0, so I buy my own. So not everybody gets their footwear paid for. Some places do, some places don't. I don't want to say that. I don't know, how could I put it? That everybody should have a good pair of work boots. Is it our job to buy a $300 pair of work boots for the employees here? That's just where I'm trying to get at. And $300 just seems excessive, like we're doubling. And I would say maybe we could put it just to the $200 range. That's my thoughts.
Other comments, discussions? Councillor Ward?
So I'll have two comments. One, I like Councillor Vino's idea. Perhaps that can be something when we look at the personnel policy in the future when we have a new CAO, that maybe that's something we can look at for the future, because I'm sure there's lots of planning that goes into that. Yeah. So
For the fall, you could start now and then do in the fall, but yeah.
And I'm assuming that these workers need boots now. I'm okay with the $300. The pair I just bought was like $298. So, I mean, I'm okay with the $300. Yeah, that's my only comment.
Yeah, the good part is, no matter what the rate is, the person can choose to buy as
Right.
many work boots as they want,
Yeah.
as expensive as work boots as they want. But we only subsidize up to 300.
Yeah.
But Councillor Vino makes an excellent point. We should have a minimum standard to our work boots, so that we get benefit out of the $300 or the $200 or $150.
That's
I think
good.
that's a.
I think so, too.
In our personnel policy, we could just have a list of the type of things we would expect the work boot to fall under. Yeah. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor Broad. I was kind of agreeing with Councillor Smith on the bump up to $200. I mean, I did some research. I mean, look, I don't wear work boots all day long. I'm an office guy, right? So, but when I did a bunch of research on where you can buy work boots, they average from, or not average, they range from $100 to $400. So I was kind of landing where Councillor Smith was, if a bump up of $200 should be adequate enough. And if the employee wants to buy a better pair of boots, then they buy a better pair of boots. I mean, we're kind of helping subsidize stuff. So that's where I was kind of landing just on my research. Like you say, I'm not in them every day, all day long. So I apologize if I'm a little leaning on
Councillor
that.
Vino?
Yeah, so just excellent points, Councillor Smith. So I guess that's where I was just going with when I said we were 225 this year, and we'll probably, or last year, this year, however that works out. That's where we fell on our kind of middle of the range, meeting our minimum standards boots, right? So like my pair of work boots is $300, but I like a certain pair of work boots. It makes my back feel better, right? But that's why I would be towards the, I know I was 2 1/4 this year, and that's where we had landed with our research done through our rep, and that's where we found, I think there was about 10 pairs of good, meeting our minimum requirements boots were at 225. So I would be inclined to go, I was just doing that all as background, I guess. My vote on this one would be at 225, just because that's where I know we landed with our fleet. So that would be, I guess, my vote on this one.
Strong vote with 225, Councillor Smith? Acceptable?
Close enough. Yeah,
Close enough.
acceptable.
Deputy Mayor, 225?
I'm good with that.
Councillor Ward?
I'm fine with that as long as it's reviewed. I think eventually, what Cole's talking about would be nice to see in the personnel policy, and then it can be adjusted as required, just in case that's not enough money.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion, comments? Okay, I have a motion that policy 311, the municipal personnel policy, be amended as presented to update the work boot allowance to $225 per annum. Motion by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, Director Jansen. Okay, 7C, TS 2023-08, supply of granular. We have Director of Transportation, Mr. Jeff Hyman with us. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you, this is just the results from the supply of granular tender, which we issued a few weeks back. This granular is used to fulfill the requirements of the municipality's 2023 gravel roads maintenance program and the stone dust, which is required for our 2023-2024 winter maintenance program. I can answer any questions. We had 2 companies supply pricing, Cornwall Gravel and David Brown Construction, and I can answer any questions which you may have at this time.
Questions or comments for Director Hyman on the purchase of supply granular? Deputy Mayor St. Pierre.
Yeah, more curiosity questions than anything, Jeff. And thank you through you, Mayor Broad. Just on your budget implications, you say there's 80,000 towards gravel roads, includes rentals of a grader, and then 196 maintenance program, which includes a purchasing. So what were you anticipating the tonnage rate to come in at?
Not this price.
This high or low?
Well, year over year, last year it was for stone dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was $11.45 and 14 for
So in your budget, you would have added, what, few
I bumped it
points
up a
to
little bit, yep.
Yeah, so this is higher than what we kind of anticipated, but, yeah, okay, that's what I kind of figured.
But
Jeff,
not more than 10% higher, though.
No, no,
No.
Seeing a lot of things a lot
Exactly.
higher.
yeah,
that-
yeah. I was just
Yeah.
curious on the budget on that budget portion itself.
Mm-hmm.
Are we, you know,
Yeah. I tried to do my best guesstimation when I issued this in April. We had just gotten through the winter season, and January was a tough, December, January were two tough months for material, whether it was straight salt or the stone dust and salt mixture. So I mean, I'm guesstimating, I'm replenishing with what we used. So I'm hoping that next year we're not out as much, but
thank
I
you.
can't foresee that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good information. It's a replenishment of what we have left up to a certain amount. So, okay, that's good information to have as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I have a motion that Council Municipality South Dundas accept report TS 2023-08 to award tender TS 209 supply of granular to Cornwall Gravel Company Limited in the amount of $12.92 per ton plus HST for maintenance stone and $16.11 per ton plus HST for stone dust. And furthermore, that bylaw number 2023-33 being a bylaw to execute an agreement with Cornwall Gravel Limited for maintenance stone and stone dust be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Motion by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Okay, 7D, TS 2309, snow removal bid submissions. Director Hyman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So again, this was just presenting you with the results of our snow removal bid submission process. This tender was issued as we do need support staff throughout the wintertime to aid with the snow removal in our plazas, in our community buildings, cul-de-sacs, dead ends, throughout the municipality. So we did receive three companies submitting prices: TDM Construction, Quality Construction, and Lloyd McMillan Equipment. As you'll see with the results sheet, the highlighted green was the lowest bids, was the lowest tenders received. There was no submissions made towards sidewalks in Iroquois and in Williamsburg. So staff is now looking at options as to how we're going to fill this vacancy. We do own one sidewalk machine, but one sidewalk machine cannot cover 3 areas. So I have been out talking with local companies on options being purchase new, purchase gently used, like our machine that we own right now came as a lease return, and looking into also a winter lease program for 6 months just to get us through this upcoming winter. So before you is the pricing. You'll find the pricing for the 3-year tenders. And as I said before, green identifies the low bid for the 3 years. So I can answer any questions which you may have at this time.
Yeah, I'll just start off with one, Director Hyman, just based on the budget we passed, how are these, I know it's per hour quoting, we don't know how many hours we'll actually spend, but how do you feel these budget lines come in at?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I was really surprised that we did receive any pricing, to be honest with you. With the way the insurance market's going, insurance companies are really hard on contractors when we start talking snow removal. The only thing that helps the municipality is that the 3 contractors that submitted pricing, not within their tender requirements do they have to apply salt. That's on the shoulders of the municipality. So that does help them with their insurance. As soon as they tell their insurance company that it's strictly plowing, and it's strictly, they work when the municipality calls them. It's not like it's on them to patrol and do that. That definitely helps the case. Are these prices high? Yes, but are they realistic? Yes. So, I mean, nothing's going down in price. So it's where I thought we were gonna be. Some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower, so it pans out. And this is not a guaranteed set amount of hours that they receive for a year. It's just strictly as we need them.
Okay, well, that's great information. I think that's where we kind of want to know just what is costing more, what levels, and what type of principles. And I'm glad that you clarified that they're based on our calls, and we apply the salt. So that's good understanding for us and residents to know how that kind of works. Other questions or comments? Councillor Ward?
Thank you, Mayor Rod. So I just had a quick question. So did you issue this as one tender, Jeff, the sidewalks and the facilities?
So through you, Mayor Broad, yes, I issued this as one tender, but each line item, Councillor Ward, was the contractor's right to bid or not bid. They could have left it blank, and if they were not interested, then they just would not have put a dollar value against that one line item.
Councillor Ward?
Did we ask them why they didn't bid?
Nobody has a sidewalk machine.
Okay,
Is-
so that's what I wanted to know. And then I guess another
Please
question.
continue.
Were there any other bid takers, or was it just these three? So you know how here you can see on bids and tenders how many people. Was there anybody else?
So through you, Mayor Broad, there was three, there might have been three others,
Okay.
but it's the same ones who take a tender out all the time, and it just stays in progress. Nothing gets submitted, so.
Thank you. That's it.
Councillor Vito?
Just a couple things. One, more of a comment. I know how this contract typically works, so having multiple different contractors is going to make a little bit more work for you in the winter trying to coordinate everybody, but that's just more of a comment. One thing, so I see for Morrisburg, so where does our sidewalk, our municipal sidewalk machine, where did it work the past 3 years for the past year contract?
So through you, Mayor Broad, so last year, if we're just to review last year, we had a contractor look after Morrisburg. We had a contractor look after the village of Iroquois, and our sidewalk machine looked after Williamsburg. And the reason for that was we had one staff member that was dual role. So he would first come in, he'd run the tractor with the blade, look after the cul-de-sacs in Iroquois, and as soon as he was completed, he would then come back and jump in the 1 ton with salt in the back of the truck, and then he would go to Williamsburg and do that job. Since we added the new sidewalks, the roundabout, there's more work, and it's always cheaper when you can put your own units against the larger hour jobs. So we're gonna move our sidewalk machine to Morrisburg and leave it at the Morrisburg shop on Allison Drive. Hence why I asked for pricing for Williamsburg and the village of Iroquois.
So I guess my comment on that one would be like, did we ask the current, because it may be cheaper for us to do it in-house to do the Morrisburg one, but not if we have to buy another sidewalk machine to now fulfill our requirements at Iroquois and Williamsburg. Whoever did it last year, like, if we wanted to change this up a little bit and retender the sidewalks and whatnot, do you think that they would bid on it if they could do the Morrisburg one and we move our machine to, I'm just trying, if we have to buy another machine or lease another machine this year, that's going to be quite a detriment to our budget. I don't think we want to buy more equipment for that. So I guess my question would be, do you think that they would bid on Morrisburg if it was available? Because it wasn't available in the last tender. You know, like, I don't know how that would work.
I can't answer that. I'm not aware. Well, one, I can't just go and ask them. I'd have to
Yeah.
retender the whole
That's what I
process
mean.
again.
I guess that's my question. Can we retender just sidewalks and pathways? Like, can we retender that with a revised structure and see if anybody bites on any of those to avoid us having to buy another sidewalk machine? I guess would be my question. I don't know, and that's more of I don't know if we can do that. That's my question, I guess.
Well, through your Mayor Broad, we did not receive pricing, so we can do, right now, we're in the driver's seat. The only thing I can tell you is that if we have to, from what I'm hearing, is if we choose to tender out Morrisburg, then I would then have to float our machine to do Iroquois and Williamsburg, which then would make an additional staff member to bring on board. We're gonna have to do that anyways, with the different options that I was looking into, purchasing gently used. Right now, you could purchase 2 gently used machines for the price of 1 brand new one, roughly is what I'm getting at. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of options. It's just, I'm following your direction.
Yeah.
However you wanna.
And I guess, sorry.
Councillor?
I guess, so if that's the direction that we have to go, is another piece of equipment, I would be, I guess, asking if there was I've never been, in my private business, never been a fan of equipment that can only do one job. So I would be asking, because I guess if this is the direction we go, we say we need another sidewalk machine. If that's what we decide today, you're going to have to, I guess, go out and get pricing and come back with options. One option I would like to see is if there was a compact tractor or something that could do that job, but then Parks and Rec in the summertime could use that for doing ball diamonds, etc. Like more of a multi-purpose piece of equipment, because I know sidewalk machines, they plow sidewalks and then they get parked for the summer. That would be if we bought one, and I realized we could also do a 6-month winter lease. But if we decide to go ahead and ask for pricing on equipment, I would appreciate that as an option, or explore it as an option, just because maybe the whole municipality could get more benefit out of a piece of equipment like that. So
I think we have, I'm just going to comment, and I'll let you comment, Director. I think we have the motion for tonight is going to be based on accepting these bids, and then Director Hyman will definitely have to come back with any future purchases, plans on how we're going to execute this, and I think he's kind of probably got a little bit more direction of some thought processes that we may have on what to think about in that area for sure, including do we offer another bid option for folks on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Director Hyman.
So the only, through Mayor Broad, the only criteria, I guess, or the only caveat against a utility tractor is that it needs to meet the width of 48 inches. Because our sidewalks are 4 feet, our new ones are 5 feet, but I can't just purchase a machine that can fit on a 5-foot wide sidewalk, because that's not realistic. So that's our only caveat against going with a compact tractor. Yes, they serve their purpose for sidewalk machines, but then they're not practical everywhere else, like out in the field, where a trackless, a holder, I'm giving you brand names, you could then put mowers on the front. And I know that Director Jansen is year 1 of 2 or 3 for grass cutting. That is definitely an option where you could put a 10-foot mower on the front of the trackless holder, numerous other machines, then you could use it in the parks in the summertime. There's then become a well-versed machine versus just parking it through the summer months. But that's something that I'll bring forward. So we're just looking to accept the pricing submissions that we receive now, and then in my next report, I'll definitely give you options on which route to go.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions, comments? So we have the motion that Council of Municipality of South Dundas accept report TS 2023-09 to approve the submissions for the 2023-24, 24-25, 25-26 seasons for snow removal, and furthermore, the council award the snow removal tender to TDM Construction, Quality Construction, and Lloyd McMillan Equipment Limited. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving to 8E, TS 2023-10, disposal of surplus vehicle and equipment. Director Hyman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you is a report for the disposal of surplus equipment, which we have within the municipality of South Dundas. Through our years of purchasing new vehicles, we've accumulated some old vehicles that were in our Williamsburg yard. The old vehicles were 80 series half-ton trucks. The benefit to those vehicles were we were able to take parts off it to put on other vehicles to help reduce the fleet costs. So now it's time that we've taken all the useful parts off. Now it's time that we dispose of these vehicles. Plus we have some numerous other equipment within the municipality. Through talking with the Fire and Emergency Services, yearly training for them involves auto extrication. And with our 4 half-ton trucks, which we have, that are ultimately scrap value, we're going to roll those over to the fire department so they can do their auto extrication training. When their training is complete, we'll then put them in a steel bin and we'll send them as scrap steel. Funds will come back in against the fleet replacement. Within the vehicles or equipment to be dispersed, we have a mechanics box that goes in the back of a half-ton truck. It looks like a big bread delivery box. So we're going to dispose of that because our mechanic isn't so much mobile anymore as being in a permanent location. So that is to be dispersed of. And we have a Savima TDF HD EXT 220 flail mower, which we use for roadside mowing. It's sitting in our yard. at Matilda, so it can be dispersed also using GovDeals. And then our plow truck, Unit 57, which is a spare truck that's parked in the garage for 90% of the time. It has the double frame, and the frame is now spread, and it will not pass a safety, so that safety expires in June. However, the license plate sticker expires in May. So right now, at the end of May, that vehicle can be then dispersed as surplus, and then hoping that we get a good dollar in return through GovDeals. So I can answer any questions that you may have, or if council has a different route which they might like to go for dispersal, I'm open to hear.
Councillor Smith?
For you, Mayor Broad, the 4 pickups that are going to for fire training, like they're parts vehicles, like right now, like there's basically like zero value left on them. It's like,
Yeah, they're missing rads, they're missing starters.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
One's missing a computer.
okay,
Yeah,
I just
we've
wanted to
taken
double
what we
check.
could.
Okay. That was the only question I had.
Good.
on the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
thing,
Okay. Good question to follow up. Make sure we were clear. So I have a motion that council of the municipality of South Dundas accept report TS 2023-10 to approve the disposal of surplus vehicles and equipment as per the attached list using GovDeals, and the council also permits the fire and rescue service to utilize 4 half-ton trucks as part of their yearly auto extrication training and sold afterwards as scrap steel. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, Director Hyman. Okay, moving to 7F. Uptree Ministry, St. James Anglican Church grants and donations. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broaden, through you. Before you is a grants and donation request from the St. James Anglican Church in Morrisburg, also known as the Appletree Ministry. They are requesting your support for $250 to go towards their 26th annual Christmas dinner on December 25th of this year. So this program provides free Christmas dinners for those who are alone over the holidays or who need a warm meal. And this should have a very positive impact on the community, and as they expect to feed around 200 people plus their 30 volunteers. So the funds that they've requested will go specifically to Christmas favors that everybody will get. And that's their request, and it's before you today.
Yep, so I could make further comments. We've been funding this through general funds every Christmas time already. Several councils ago have been paying this. And when it came up last year, right at the transition point, I just asked the group to, so they don't have to ask every year, make a phone call, make arrangements, submit bills. They should bring it forward to our grants donations piece. Of course, they missed the deadline and they brought it with us today. So we're looking to just add that $250 request from the basically $10,000 we had left on that action line. So that's where we're at today. Give you a little further details on how it came about. Cool.
Yep.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, Mayor Broad, the only I just want, I'm glad you just clarified that, because I hadn't heard of this before, so I just wanted to, it said that it was the 24th year or 26th year that they've done this. I just wondered if it was the first year that they applied, or if
Yeah, no,
donated.
they've been receiving the funds just through a
Okay.
receipt process from
Okay.
the town. Previous mayors have attended, councils have attended on a Christmas Day and helped give out
Okay.
the food. It's a Christmas Day activity
Okay.
for the food. So.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion that council of Mississauga South Dundas approve the grants and donation request as presented. So, Councillor Ward, Councillor Vino, all in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, moving under bylaws, 8A, 2023-31 final 2023 tax rates. So we have Treasurer Julie Stewart with us tonight, making her first presentation. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this bylaw, with Council passing the 2023 budget in March, the Schedule A to the bylaw are the rates reflected in the budget. So that I ask tonight that you pass this bylaw in order for us to be able to implement the new rates to prepare the final tax bills for the 2023 season.
Any questions, comments about the schedule? We certainly want the next tax bills to go out on time
We
for
do.
everybody to pay. So I have a motion that bylaw 2023-31 being a bylaw to establish the 2023 municipal tax rates be read and open, council signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. And staying with Treasurer Stewart, 8B, 2023-33 Williamsburg sewer rate.
So this bylaw is to impose the new sewer service rate. It's a 4% increase per unit for Williamsburg sewer service, and it will be reflected in the final tax bill as well. So, any questions on that?
Councillor Ward?
So I circulated this through you, Mayor, to staff earlier. So my concern was that when we discussed water sewer budget, I specifically asked that this 4% be looked at mainly because it's just matching Iroquois and Morrisburg, but it's not actually based on numbers. It was just to match. So Williamsburg sewer is a different demand structure than Iroquois and Morrisburg, based on my understanding. So I would prefer that 4% be adjusted accordingly, whether it need to be lower or higher based on the actual needs of Williamsburg. That was my comment to staff, and I think based on their suggestion, they just targeted the 4% for some sort of, I believe it was some sort of reserve balance just to get it started, or.
Well, through you, Mayor Broad, I don't have, because I wasn't involved in the budget, I don't have all the background information on it, but I can take, your request back and go through it when the Deputy Treasurer is back, because he was more involved with it, and go over the numbers and get back to you on the next council meeting and give you, a better indication of where it comes from and go from there.
I would appreciate that, Mayor, because I feel like financially we're responsible, and if a 4% increase is too low or it's too high, I'd rather know that now and make the adjustment as required over the years rather than just pick 4% because it matches the other systems. I just feel it's more financially responsible, but that's my opinion. And
Yeah, I did go back through the minutes. I didn't go back and watch all the video. I remember the conversations, and there was action at the time about the interest on the water plants, and we didn't have direct action on the 4% that captured. So with that being said, if that's your request, we could take that into consideration. Other comments from council? So would we be okay to defer this motion so we can come back at our next meeting and get that information to make the proper decision on what that rate should be? Councilor Vino?
I guess my only comment would be to echo is we say that we're numbers driven and data driven, right? We try and make informed decisions based on numbers and data. If we don't have the right numbers and data here, then I think we have to defer, in my opinion.
Good. Okay,
Very good.
so we will defer this motion till our next meeting. Thank you, Treasurer Sir, thank you for that. Okay, moving to 8C, 2023-34, Deputy CBO appointment. Clerk LeBrun.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you. Before you is a bylaw to appoint Tyler Thorne as the Deputy CBO effective May 15th, which is next Monday. Tyler was recently hired to fill the position, and by passing this bylaw tonight, it would allow him to hit the ground running and fulfill his duties on day one. That's the bylaw before you today.
That's great. So I have a motion that bylaw 2023-34, being a bylaw to appoint Tyler Thorne as Deputy Chief Building Official for the municipality of South Dundas, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Thank you. Well, welcome Tyler to South Dundas. We're super pleased to bring Tyler on board with his experience and qualifications. Adding Tyler to our team that has this gap for quite a while is going to improve one of our departments, and I know he can hit the ground running, and we'll look forward to seeing him at future council staff meetings. So welcome, Tyler. Moving to 8D, 2023-35 Equipment Lending Agreement with SD&G, Director Hyman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is just to formalize the greater rental agreement between the counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, and the municipality in South Dundas. Back in 2022, we did sell our grader, which we owned. Counties agreed to lend us their grader, which they deemed as surplus. So this agreement is for the month, or for the year of March 1st, 2023 to March 1st, 2024. Within this agreement, it says that we can use the grader and return it as equally as we received it, or in better condition than as we received it. But also, we need to grade their shoulders on their asphalt roadways, which equals roughly 90 centerline kilometers, which in turn is roughly 180 kilometers both directions. That was part of the agreement with the counties. So I can answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Questions, comments? Councilor Vino?
One, and I apologize, I don't know if you'd have this off the top of your head. So 180 kilometers, any idea man hours, what that is? Like for us, from a budget standpoint, I don't know how long it takes to shoulder a road, so and I should have sent this an email because it's kind of, I know that's a tough one to answer.
So through you, Councillor or Mayor Broad, I can only give you Highway 2. So Highway 2 consists of our west boundary, where it meets Edwardsburg Cardinal, to Ingleside. And it took him 3 days to do that stretch. So he did from Riverside Heights to Ingleside, and then maybe back to Riverside Heights, and then he did from Iroquois to Edwardsburg Cardinal, and then maybe halfway back to Morrisburg, and then just finished in the in-between. So it's a learning curve for us. We're trying to do the best we can. I want to do a good job for them because the grader's costing us nothing. So it was either that or we'd have to rent a grader. So our man hours are cheaper than the rental of a grader.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Can I have a motion that bylaw 2023-36 being a bylaw to enter into equipment lending agreement for a grader between United Counties, Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry in the municipality of South Dundas be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Thank you. And thank you, Director Hyman. 8E, 2023-36 Treasury appointment. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you. Before you is another bylaw to appoint Julie Stewart as our treasurer effective immediately. Julie joined, of course, our team on May 1st, and by passing this bylaw will allow her to fill her legislative duties as treasurer, and that's what we're asking tonight.
Thank you. I have a motion that bylaw 2023-36 being a bylaw to appoint Julie Stewart as treasurer for the municipality of South Dundas be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Thank you. And welcome, Julie. And we've already made our press release and wonderful comments, but thank you. You made your first appearance tonight, so that's great. Welcome aboard. Boards and committees. 9A. The only committee meeting that I was involved in was the Morrisburg Waterfront Committee. Councillor Vino had work commitments, so I did attend. Great first initial meeting. We've got our chairperson in place. They voted in a secretary, and we started through thought processes of their plans. Gave them some coaching on some boundaries and regulations. Clerk LeBrun is going to come back to their next meeting with their terms of reference to make sure we're all good on everything that we need to do on those. They did have some motion. They had some motions they were going to bring forward to us. So that was the follow up that Clerk LeBrun was going to work on from that meeting. But we'll see them at our next meeting. yeah, they're excited to get started. They had some presentations they shared with each other, and they're going to share some of those presentations with the Iroquois Waterfront Committee, so that they had those pieces of information. So yeah, good first meeting, and got off and running, and a lot of brainstorming and talks, and they were super excited for you to be at the next meeting, because they had some good ideas too they want to share with you, Councillor Vino. Yeah, South Branch.
So the South Branch Community Fund met, the group. Clerk LeBrun and I met with them last week on Thursday. So we appointed a chair and a secretary as well, which was great. And we have exciting news to share that the application, so the fund funds programs within the community. There is a specific boundary to that community. But we are posting the applications. They'll open May 15th, correct? Yep. And then they will close May 26th. So I'm hoping to see some community organizations apply for that fund. It's, I believe, $20,000 that's available. So I guess this is to everyone here and everyone watching. Please apply. It's a great opportunity to get some funding for your community events or, items that you're looking to purchase. So it was a great meeting.
Great. And those funds, I think, were in year 10 or 11 of the 20,000, and it's boundary restricted, so there's some regulations to follow on that. Downtown Business Association.
So we met and had an extremely positive and productive meeting. At least I felt, sounded like that's what everybody else felt as well. So we're working on, I guess, developing some more structure and direction within that committee, and it's going extremely well. I believe next meeting I'm away on a conference, but Clerk LeBrun and Mayor Broad will be joining them to go over some more clerical, how the finances work for that committee. I think you're gonna go through the handbook with them, the new handbook, so that they'll be able to present their minutes and requests to council like we intend, or we're looking for. So yes, we're more doing some structuring just to set some goals, and because it's hard to achieve any goals if you don't really know what you're trying to do. So we're trying to put that all together right now, and it was an extremely good meeting. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, glad to hear
So.
it went well, and we're kind of getting kicked off with our committees of council. First, second meetings coming up, and we'll start to see all our templates and agendas and our meeting minutes and our request to council all start to flow as we all get used to the process and the templates. Were there any others meetings in the last 2 weeks? No. Cool. Otherwise, I did. There was a breakfast where David Ross spoke at that I attended with Councillor Smith and Vino, and Will's Transfer. We had an invite down to check out the new warehouse at Will's Transfer. So there's lots of activities going on, council representation at different activities, for sure. Consent agenda. 10.8. KR 2023 budgets to actuals. B, KR rental fee waived for the Firefighters Association chili cook-off. I put those words together, I apologize. Chili cook-off, just for if anybody's information, the mayor will be submitting a pot of chili for the contest. Deputy mayor is the judge.
No, apparently I'm not.
Oh, pecuniary interest, is that right?
So I may have to whip something.
Good.
I'm in it too, don't you worry.
Okay.
Look at it.
Excellent. 10C, the SDNG regular council meeting minutes have been submitted, and building and bylaw statistics information was submitted. I have a motion here that all items listed on our general consent section of the agenda be adopted as presented. Councillor Smith, Councillor Ward, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Notices of motion. Sorry, not 12, 11. Thank you, Councillor Ward. 11, discussion items. KR 2023 OTF capital grant application. Director Jansen.
So thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you for discussion tonight is the OTF capital grant, which as you know, it's the capital project. It tends to fall in the recreation hood. So I just sort of wanted to put it out. The application's open in 10 days or so, and they close in about a month and a half. So we're just starting to get ready for putting together our application. It is between 10,000 and 150 this year. I know last year it was also 10,000 to 150, and the year before it was, I think, 50 to $500,000. So it does vary year to year a little bit. I put in a little bit of information what's covered under the grant, sort of what they're looking for, so just a little bit of information about that. And then I provided 4 little rough outlines of some options that we could consider, but I'm just looking for some direction from council as to, I know it's an all-encompassing grant, and if there's anything that you guys had as a project that you guys wanted staff to focus on or anything like that, or if there's a preference in here. And I'll say, like, some of these will, like, redoing Matilda Hall roof would cost more than $150,000 in today's market, and if we're redoing the roof, we're best to add a little bit of insulation while we're at it, would be my recommendation. I put the Mooresburg Arena in there, one that we're all fairly aware of. We have $200,000 in reserve right now. We're continuing to contribute $100,000. Is 150 enough? Do we start financing it? That's more of a council decision than a staff decision if we wanted to go that route. The municipal office one I know is a grant that went out in last November. I think it might have been during election season even, so it might have been October. That's to put a dividing wall in next door. So that one's kind of, we already have put together a grant application for that one, so on our end that would be kind of nice. And then the last one I put in there as a staff option is Haldane Park, where I think there's already been some discussion, I believe, with this council about the outdoor rink there is reaching the end of its life, the volleyball courts are reaching the end of their life. And from a staff perspective and the rec master plan, our newest facility is there, there's a bathroom there. It sort of get the ball rolling on some upgrades there. Those are just 4 options that staff presented. If council has anything that's in the back of your mind that thinks that would fit within this as well, I'm open to some discussion and direction from council there, but the application doesn't open for about another 2 weeks, so from there I'll leave it to council, and if you guys have any questions about a specific project or anything like that, just let me know.
Yeah, no, I think it's important that for the councillors to take back to any of their committees that they're on, Waterfront, South Branch, to make sure they're aware of this as well, and they may have projects that they may want to apply for or bring forward to apply for. So that would be important to make sure we did that follow-up. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Brodsky. So when does it close, David?
June 14th.
June 14th. Okay, so yeah, it gives us plenty of time to get out there, so I see that now.
Director?
So I'll caution the June 14th date, so the grant application won't require us to have, we have to be tender ready, so if you're looking at June 14th, we need to get either quotes, cost estimates ready, you have to prepare the application, so you sort of want to be tender ready type of projects is what they're looking for in the capital grant. So if we make a decision by June 1st, it's more than 2 weeks sometimes to prepare these grant applications.
Yeah.
So I just want to.
And to get pricing and tenders and all that, the documents together, yeah, good luck in 2 weeks doing that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, we just never know what people already have previous.
That's sort of why I'm 2 months out trying to get
Yeah,
ready for it now.
Yeah, great point, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and there could be some committees that have stuff ready that we're not aware of.
Yeah.
Could just be refreshed. I just want to make sure they have an opportunity or good opportunity for someone to know, we won't be ready this year, but next year in May,
Absolutely.
we'll be ready, right? So that'll also be something to work towards for maybe a group that's interested in doing something. Councilor Ward?
If you're looking for direction, David, tonight on what you think, like from my perspective as a counselor, we might want to apply for, like potentially, I think Haldane Park needs some attention. I know Councillor Smith and I have seen that, and it's well underloved and could be quite a gem, I think, in Iroquois. So I'd like to see the money go towards that, or perhaps north of the 401 as well, somewhere in Matilda or Williamsburg. Like the mayor said, reaching out to those recreation committees, and maybe it's not this year, but I do think we should start looking. I know we need to replace the roof at Matilda and we need to replace the arena entrance, but I see those as bigger capital finance items, whereas I think park upgrades are something that we could really go for with regards to this grant, because this is about community building and accessibility, and I think parks is kind of where we should focus that, but that's my opinion, and that's my only comment.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Smith?
I agree 100% with Councillor Ward. The recreation room to wall divider, do we have any update on the status of that application yet for the LEAF funding?
We were not successful.
We were not successful? We were not successful. Okay. Either way, I guess it just still doesn't, I guess, change what my thought, of the four options that you presented, the upgrades to the Holiday Inn Park at Iroquois would be my first choice. Whether it's outdoor rink, I do know, like the outdoor rink in Iroquois, we have a very strong group of volunteers in Iroquois. The Iroquois outdoor rink gets used every year. There's volunteers there every year to do it, and it is very sad looking in terms of the asphalt and the boards, as well as the baseball park too. With the mayor and I were talking about this, I believe, at the trade show, that baseball in this area is growing by leaps and bounds every year, and we're getting close to a point where we're going to be running out of diamond space. I think maybe at Morrisburg, Williamsburg, and Princeton, all of those are going to be used full time. Several nights of the week, all three, and we are going to be time that we're going to be looking for available diamond space. So if we could get some rehab work done at Iroquois, that to me, that's a main priority.
Yeah, it's a facility we have in place today, right? So it's not additional, it's just
that's right.
maintenance work. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just through you, Mayor Broad, I agree with you 100%, Councillor Smith. I ran into, I think, one of your surge colleagues there today, one of McCooey's, and he went on about 10 minutes about how they'd like to expand the baseball in Iroquois and the opportunities there, and the baseball base is pretty good. Swank Construction came forward last year before, and built that shed outdoor rink building. So yeah, I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree that the capital there's some of these that are larger capital projects than just funding. So I agree with Councillor Smith on that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Other comments? Director?
Oh, perfect. As it's just a discussion item, and we've sort of honed in on what option, I just want to get a little bit more direction from council, because I know my report's written a little bit less towards the baseball, but the direction from council's heading a little baseball heavy. So my vision for Haldane Park is there is volleyball courts there and an outdoor rink. I was thinking about redoing some of those to clean up and if you're building a new multi-use pad for basketball out there and redoing the volleyball courts, you're probably going to eat up that money relatively quickly. Whereas if we shift over, I don't remember exactly what the Jays Care one was. That was about a $60,000 project for the marquee park here in Morrisburg.
Yeah, I think that it wasn't we needed for this summer, but if we start maybe thinking about how we those improvements, how we maintain it, cut the grass, and start to think about moving forward with if all that park's going to start to look nicer, we'll want to include baseball in the future. But what you've had listed is excellent, with the idea that baseball is something else to add in, or if there's a few dollars here or there to do something at the dime at the same time while we're working on other activities. I think that's worthwhile. Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Bro. Actually, he was convinced me. I think baseball is the way to go, to be honest with you. That's our demand right now, and I'm flexible either way.
Right.
I'm just looking at what is the biggest demand and what we need, and baseball seems to keep growing, as you can. I think you know that, Mayor Broad. But so, anyways, I'm flexible either way. I mean, but
I think that it's a lot of these other things are free play. And of course, a diamond you can go and just play on, but having the volleyball or basketball nets is super important too. As far free play and recreation goes as well. So yeah, I mean, let's get the application in and we can go from there, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're clear. Are we good?
No, that's the direction I need, so that's
Okay.
great.
Perfect. Thank you, Director Jansen. Discussion item 11B, council meetings in June. So Clerk LeBrun and I would like to come back in May. We have a couple of conflicts that we may have that we'd like to discuss. The council dates in June, but just want to raise your awareness tonight. There's a graduation. Seaway has a graded graduation on one of our meeting dates that I'd really like to attend, but we also have requests from delegations. So we're going to come back with what our meetings are for the next 3 months and some requests. Councilor Vino mentioned tonight about getting some direction on our org charts for parks and recreation. So that may be some things we'll come back. So we'd like to come back with a list of activities that we'd like to reschedule and potentially make a change. Not that we have to, but there's just suggestions that we might like to bring some dates forward to change a meeting date or two, if necessary, in June. But I want to give you guys a kind of heads up that we can start thinking about our calendars so we can give the public the proper notice and our staff proper notice if we do make a change on that one. Anything else you'd like to add? Clerk
No,
LeBrun?
I think that's good. You covered it. Thank you.
Covered all the items. Okay, so yeah, just more to come on our next meeting on that one. 11C, letter from Seaway District High School. So late last week, I got a call from Principal Trent Carter on the Edwards on the a project that kind of just fell in their lap pretty quickly, where they're going to be having some of their students build some structures, and it's all part of their programming, woodworking programming, and programming they're working with the government. They had some competitions. We were doing some structures, and basically the gist of it, if you read the report, they're going to build these structures. The material's free, and he would like to know if the South Dundas would like to be the recipient of these buildings, potentially to use at our Ball Diamond waterfront or somewhere within. Really, the cost for us would be just to move the structure once they build. They build it at the school, so the cost to us would be to move that structure and then finish it if we, for whatever kind of work we'd like to do. They were just looking to see, obviously, if we'd be interested, that we could partner up if we'd like them. If not, he would look out to other organizations for that. So, like I said, they pay for the structure. We would have to pay to move it to where we wanted it, which if we built or moved anything, that would be the cost. I was thinking we could go to our waterfront committees, we could look at rec or whatever. The only kind of indication they'd like to know would be next week or this week would be, what size of building would they be, would we most like to be in? Because they have some different options on the size of the buildings they could build. I know it's kind of last minute, but it just kind of fell in our lap. I wanted to bring it to our attention and let us know there's an opportunity for us. Councillor Ward?
I have a question
Yeah.
about a building permit. So if it goes over a certain size, we'll need a building permit? And that depends on where it is, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
okay, we would pay for the building permit? Is that?
If we were to move it, if the size required,
Okay.
I guess we would be the one directing
Yeah.
because we're moving it. So that would be
Okay.
the case, yes, in this case. If they were to build the bigger ones, the smaller ones don't need it. Well, it would be based on what requires a building permit or not.
So we would need to do site work then to rate for the footing? Yes? No? I'm looking around.
So-
I'm not an
so-
expert in that.
Yeah, so like these are like small sheds, right? They're like,
Okay.
so we would have to, to
Okay.
move it, yes, we would have to incur the cost of move it, and if we had to do that, then that would be what
Yeah.
we would do.
So basically, to your point, I was reading through all that, and so in principle, I really like this idea, just because if the students that grew up here and go to school here built it, they get to walk by it for years to come, that they got to build this. But yes, I would say that the municipality, if we do go down this route, would be on the hook for the moving, obviously, building permit, probably need to get an engineer to draw up drawings for this said building to get the building permit. So there might be some costs in there as well. But I mean, I really like the idea of having Seaway build us something cool for our municipality. So, but I just, for the viewers and for everybody to know that there will be cost if we go.
Yeah,
this
of course,
route.
that was the whole, we would have
Yeah.
to pay to have it moved, it would incur some cost, but we would end up with a building of some sort that we could design and use
Yeah.
based on the school board. Deputy Mayor?
When would they like an answer by?
Yeah, so immediately, because I want to know what size they want to build.
Yeah, the only reason
Yeah,
why
so-
I'm asking is because you know, we have waterfront committee meetings coming up, I think on the 17th. It'd be nice to maybe throw this option if they could use a shed. It'd be nice to know through David, Mr. Jansen, if our ball diamonds for storage, equipment storage, if we could utilize sheds in our parks. It'd be nice to get okay, we'd like to have 4 or 5 6x10s or a couple 5x5s or something, just a little bit of a plan to tell them
Yeah.
if we could utilize these buildings or not, you know, and then how big do we need?
Dr. Jansen has come up to the mic, just if you want to answer
So-
that somewhat question.
A little bit to Deputy Mayor here. I do know like South Dundas Soccer has already told me that they're somewhat interested in a shed on our property between Field C and D. I know the Seaway Surge reached out to the Parks Department last year, and I know they wanted to get a slightly bigger shed, but ended up with just through COVID, that's all they could get was a certain size of shed. So there's plenty of recreation groups in South Dundas. I know Williamsburg, they have a few small sheds out there. The Brinston Park, they have a few small sheds out there. So there's certainly lots of user groups in South Dundas who would be looking for it. And then I know that they're looking for direction on size. And I know every user group's going to be slightly different there, but basically the permitting comes in once it goes over 10 square meters. That's the line, is 10 square meters, which is about 100 square feet, just
10 by 10.
10 by 10. It's technically just a hair shy of 100 square meters. It's like 98 or something like that.
Excuse me.
So from a municipal standpoint, it would be cost advantageous for us to keep it under that. But obviously, every user group needs more space, certain space. And maybe that's somewhere where we can work together with a user group and share some of those costs and stuff like that, depending on what their needs are. So.
Yeah, so yeah. So
That's
I was
my
just kind of looking
recommendation.
for.
I think
yeah.
we could use them.
Yeah, I think
the
so. I
Parks
think
and
we're just
Rec
kind of
is the
looking for
way to use them.
direction. Do we go, yeah, that's a good idea. It's going to incur some costs. Let's go figure out, the next couple of days, maybe tell them, hey, do this size and we'll figure out what group. And I know there's groups that are willing to pay to finish them or work on them as well. So it's just a matter of us getting involved.
I just wanted to point out that from what I understood in my reading there, that this is a timber frame project for them.
Yes.
So it's no roof, no walls, none of that. It'll be just a frame. So whatever group, whether it's a group or the municipality, would be on the hook. And I think they did say in there, like if we wanted them to do some walls and stuff, maybe the students could help with that as well. But the project that they're doing with this third-party teacher, I don't know, is timber framing. So that's the structure. So if there's anything we want to do outside of it, there'd be some costs there too. Still 100% for it. I just want to make sure that it's 100%.
Through you, Mayor Broad, I agree. I think this, again, this is a great way to support the school. I think this is a great way to support this type of industry is still needed. So if we're going to incur a little bit of cost, this is where I like the cost to be when we're talking about budget and cost. To me, this is the kind of stuff that people are going to get educated on. The kids are going to get more knowledgeable, and it's going to be used. It's going to be used in our community. So I agree with everything you're saying.
Would it be fair for, we asked Director Jansen to reach out to the principal, Trent Carter-Williams at Seaway, and also reach out to some of the partners that might be interested, like the soccer club and the Surge, because they may be willing to pay to finish it, haven't moved a lot of things, right? So maybe we get that discussion going tomorrow and get an understanding.
So, to council, I'll admit I haven't read the entire report in depth. Like, I don't know about the timber framing and the walls and stuff like that, but I sort of see it as, if council wanted to, I'd be happy to take the direction. I'd be happy to work with our communications coordinator and sort of do similar to and put out a post if there's any local groups who are interested in this for municipal property, whether it be a recreation park group, whether it be a sports group or any group like that, to reach out to me and then we can see what the interest is. I think even municipally, there is a need for us to have additional storage. You could put it at the beach and I could use it with my lifeguarding programs and aquatics programs. So like we could use it as well. But if there's other user groups who are interested, I'd say we put it out on our social medias that, if there's a user group and the only caveat is that it has to be installed on municipal property, but there's lots of people who use municipal property who could use a little bit more storage, myself included.
Excellent, and maybe we could also in your conversations with Seaway, if sponsors wants to come forward to help finish it, maybe we
Yeah.
could add to the whole
Yeah, great.
experience of the school, to Councillor Vina's point. So, yeah. So,
And then, yeah, I'm happy to
Yeah.
work with the principal
Sure.
and organizing there.
that'd be great. Councillor Smith?
The only thing that I would say is to keep it at the 10 by 10 size if that avoids a building permit. Just in case maybe in the future, if it's a municipal building, if it's on a municipal property, then it makes it a lot easier if we want to move it somewhere in the future without having to go through a permitting
Yeah.
process or something over again. Just, that's my thoughts.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay? We're good?
Yep.
Thank you, Director Jensen. Thank you for stepping up. Appreciate that. And then last discussion about the care building and bylaw statistics. So, Clerk LeBrun.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Broad. This was actually added accidentally to discussion items. You'll see it already under the consent agenda. I just picked up on it right now.
So delete
Yes.
11D. Thank you for that.
No, thank you.
Okay, number 12, notice of motion. Deputy Mayor St. Pierre.
Yes, I'm going to bring on a notice of motion.
Yes, you may.
Do I have to go full detail, or is it just a?
Yeah, I'd like to the details of what you'd like to.
Well, this is
Before,
kind of high level. I'd like to bring a notice of motion and like for staff to get a true handle on our Iroquois and Mooresburg plazas. I'd like to have a handle on what the true costs are going to be for each plaza to upgrade them, which includes asphalt, concrete, sidewalks, canopy, electrical, drainage, all of the above. The reason why I want to start this discussion now is to prepare ourselves for next year's budget versus us waiting until December or January and then, we're too busy or everybody's too busy to get proper quotes and proper sizes and proper reports to us. So I'd like to bring that notice of motion to the floor if I could, please.
Yeah, and I think also we get, if I may add, also the annual costs associated with maintenance of the.
Correct.
Of the,
Sure,
the,
yeah.
the malls at the same time, because then we'll know when we're looking at the whole picture of for the budgeting going forward.
Yes, and
A whole package, and this may take several
Yes.
months to put together.
Yeah, yes, and that should include snow plowing, that should include garbage pickup, that should include everything we can think of.
Excellent. Excellent. Also, under notice of motion last meeting, sorry, we had mentioned property standards, so we plan to have a delegation and then some more information on property standards, so we'll bring that forward at the next meeting. So I did mention last meeting, just we hadn't had enough time to prepare ourselves for all the details we wanted to share. So looking forward to property standards. I know with the great weather that's turned over the last few days, everybody's been outside working on their properties and raking leaves and picking up sticks. We did actually also on that note post the compost day, so that has officially been posted on that. So appreciate everyone that has been working on their properties over the last little bit. Okay. We will move back into closed session. So I'll have a motion that, sorry. That it be resolved that council move to a closed session at 7:35 to discuss the following items on the municipal act. A meeting, their part, closed to the public to discuss labor relation or employee negotiations and trade secrets, confidential information, financial labor relations, information supplied in confidence to the municipality. Do I have a motion for that? Councillor Ward? Councillor Vino? All in favor? Carried.